Camilla exposed. Princess Anne and King Charles decide to reveal everything. What drove Princess Anne, the most steadfast and reserved woman in the British royal family, to publicly confront Queen Camilla? And why did King Charles, the head of the monarchy, have to make a heart-wrenching decision about his own wife? These questions have not only sent the media into a frenzy, but also sparked an unprecedented wave of public discussion. This is no mere personal conflict. It is a warning of a simmering crisis within the royal family, a place where every word and glance can shake the foundations of a thousand-year-old empire. In today's video, we will trace the shocking revelations from Princess Anne, dubbed the silent warrior of the royal family, and King Charles, who bears the weight of preserving the monarchy. Their disclosures about the late Queen Elizabeth II, Queen Camilla, a woman steeped in controversy, and even Princess Kate, the shining jewel of the Windsor family, will gradually come to light. Make no mistake, Princess Anne is not one to speak lightly. When she chooses to break her silence, it signals that behind the media storm lies a hidden iceberg, brimming with secrets, calculations, and resistance ready to erupt. It's crucial to understand. Princess Anne and King Charles are not just the biological children of Queen Elizabeth II. They are pivotal figures tasked with upholding the monarchy's authority during turbulent times. Thus, any discord between them, if it exists, cannot be taken lightly. And when the conflict involves Queen Camilla, a woman once seen as an outsider, the story becomes more sensitive and unpredictable than ever. You are about to embark on a journey to uncover secrets never before told, choices that those involved tried to bury, but which are now slowly coming to light. Stay with us until the end, because the truth sometimes comes not from the throne, but from those who have remained silent the longest. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. You'll be surprised to find you're not alone in questioning the truths behind the royal doors. The atmosphere in the Great Hall of Buckingham Palace that evening was illuminated by hundreds of crystal candles and dazzling chandeliers. It was a formal banquet for royals, diplomats, and nobility, a setting where all eyes were on the royal family, as if they were living in a shimmering fairy tale painting. But no one could have anticipated that amidst this grandeur, a moment would unfold that left the palace holding its breath. Princess Anne, dressed in a deep navy evening gown with a high neckline, her face betraying no emotion, approached Camilla during a toast. As those around them chorused, "Her Majesty the Queen," Anne calmly but resolutely said, "Queen Consort Camilla." A moment of stunned silence followed. Champagne glasses seemed to freeze midair. Camilla, who had recently been officially referred to as Queen in royal documents, couldn't hide a fleeting look of discomfort. A few distinguished guests exchanged glances, forcing smiles to maintain decorum, while the staff paused for a split second, just long enough for the air to grow thick with tension. To outsiders, it might seem like a matter of semantics. Queen or Queen Consort, what's the difference? But in the royal family, every title is a declaration of power. The way Anne emphasized consort was not just old-fashioned courtesy, it was a statement, or rather, a politically charged reminder. Because, according to Anne, her mother, the late Queen Elizabeth II, never intended for Camilla to be queen in the truest sense. It was not without reason that Anne, known for her unwavering loyalty to the monarchy and as one of the Queen's closest children, made such a public stand. According to a source close to the palace revealed through a former senior staff member at Clarence House, Queen Elizabeth made it clear in her final years that if Camilla were to receive a title, it should only be Queen Consort, a respected position, but not one carrying supreme symbolic authority. This anonymous staff member added, "The Queen confided to a few trusted individuals that she wanted to uphold tradition. Only someone born or married to the heir, who later becomes king, could be Queen Consort. In her view, Camilla was never the public's image of a queen." More strikingly, this source noted that during the Queen's lifetime, the title Queen was never officially used for Camilla. It was only after her passing that coronation documents and media announcements began to shift the terminology, a small but pivotal detail for Camilla's current status. This change prompted Princess Anne to feel a duty to speak out. Not to hurt Camilla, but to remind the family and the public of what she believed that her mother intended to preserve: propriety, legitimacy, and the traditional symbolism of the British monarchy. Anne has long been seen as the daughter who dares to speak the truth in the palace. Unassuming, uninterested in power grabs or titles, but when she speaks, her words cannot be ignored. This time, they struck at the royal family's most fragile fault line: the relationship between generations, between legacy and the present, between emotion and power. The statement, seemingly just a title, Queen Consort, carried a weight that quickly sent ripples through the royal inner circle. And the one who felt its consequences most acutely was Camilla. Within 48 hours of the banquet, palace insiders leaked ambiguous, suggestive reports to the press. Words like hurt, undermined, and publicly challenged began to surface regarding Camilla's emotions. One of her close confidants even stated, "Her Majesty felt humiliated in front of dozens of guests. It was not just personal disrespect, but a public act to weaken her position in the royal family." For Camilla, who endured decades of public criticism, media scrutiny, and only gained recognition after marrying Charles, being called Queen Consort in front of the world was an unexpected setback. It not only embarrassed her, but also struck at the carefully crafted media strategy the palace had built post-coronation. And the issue didn't end with the title. According to a source close to Princess Anne, after the banquet, she held private talks with several royal family members. In these discussions, she not only reiterated Queen Elizabeth's wishes, but also expressed deep concern about how Camilla was wielding her newfound power. The source quoted Anne, "Camilla is not just Queen Consort. She's acting as if she's making decisions for Charles." A former royal secretary recounted that Princess Anne believed Camilla had overstepped her bounds by interfering in internal palace matters, from selecting heads of departments to subtly influencing guest schedules, and even how the royal daughters-in-law, particularly Princess Kate, were treated. "She's restructuring the palace in ways no one was consulted about," Anne reportedly said, a heavy criticism that, if true, was not just a warning, but a systemic accusation. Some insiders noted that Camilla had recently been attending meetings previously reserved for the king and senior advisors. Documents bore her approval, and decisions were pushed by her, though in name she held no executive authority. For Princess Anne, who lives by the monarchy's traditional rules, this was tantamount to overreach. The difference lies in this: Anne is not one for theatrics. When she speaks, it means she's seen something beyond her tolerance. Now, with her relationship with Camilla on the brink, the public is beginning to realize that the royal family's unity is not as absolute as the family photos in the press suggest. Outwardly, everything proceeds according to protocol. Camilla still smiles on ceremonial platforms and joins Charles on state visits. But behind the scenes, palace staff witness clear signs of unease: schedules separating family members, rearranged seating at dinners, and smaller meetings no longer attended by all. People are starting to ask, is Princess Anne waging a silent campaign? Not to dethrone anyone, but to preserve the boundaries she deems sacred. Boundaries of legitimacy, dignity, and a monarchy once ruled by a queen she revered above all, Elizabeth II. To understand why Princess Anne is so resolute about Camilla, we must look beyond the present. Some wounds thought to have healed have never truly closed. Few know that in the late 1960s, when the British monarchy still basked in classical grandeur, the heart of the only princess of the House of Windsor beat for a man named Andrew Parker Bowles. A dashing cavalry officer, charismatic, and from British nobility, Andrew was not only the epitome of a gentleman, but also stirred Anne's heart in a way some say she never felt again. They dated in secret, evading the prying eyes of the press, and for a time the public wondered if this was a revolutionary love story, a queen's daughter ready to break tradition to follow her heart. But the royal family is not so simple. Andrew was Catholic, under the strict rules of the British monarchy at the time, particularly during Queen Elizabeth II's reign. A royal marrying a Catholic could lose their place in the line of succession or be sidelined from key inner circles. Their love, no matter how deep, could not overcome the invisible wall of tradition and politics. Anne was forced to end it, not because she stopped loving him, but because she wasn't allowed to love as she wished. Less than 2 years later, another woman entered Andrew's life, none other than Camilla Shand, later Camilla Parker Bowles. They married quickly in 1973 in a formal ceremony. Camilla, from a relatively modest background, became Mrs. Parker Bowles, the wife of the man Anne had loved deeply. To outsiders, it might seem like a love story that took a different path. But for Anne, it was a quiet stab from behind. Not just for losing Andrew, but because the woman who entered that relationship would later become a permanent fixture in his life, and then ascend to glory alongside Anne's own brother Charles. Perhaps Camilla was never someone Anne trusted, and perhaps Camilla knew it. What cannot be denied is that from that broken love, a silent rift began to grow. Not just in Anne's heart, but in the emotional and power dynamics of the British royal family for decades to come. Now, as Camilla is queen and Andrew a faded memory in old photographs, Princess Anne has not forgotten, because some loves don't fade. They are merely wrapped in silence and pain. If the 2005 marriage of Charles and Camilla was seen as a milestone marking a new era for the British monarchy, for Princess Anne, it was a moment she'd rather forget. That day, the nation watched images of a wedding that was neither lavish nor grandiose, like Charles and Diana's in 1981, but rather restrained, discreet, and symbolic. Amid the polished smiles and somewhat forced congratulations, Princess Anne's gaze cut through the air like a cold blade. She was present, but she did not smile. Princess Anne made no effort to hide her froideur. In the rare photos capturing her arrival at the wedding, her reluctance was evident in every gesture. There was no exchange of glances between the two women, now both part of the royal family. Not a nod of greeting. According to a witness present that day, Anne refused to stand near Camilla during the family photo session, with seating arrangements changed at the last minute to avoid awkwardness. Then came the ceremonial moment, the curtsy, a gesture of respect to the new senior royal. All the female royals, from Lady Spencer to Windsor cousins and wives of royal dukes, bowed in turn, all except Princess Anne. It wasn't an oversight, it was deliberate. Years later, in an informal conversation, a close friend of Anne revealed, she once said that Camilla marrying Charles didn't mean she deserved a curtsy. Being born a princess carries a different kind of rank in the royal family, and she never forgot that. According to unwritten rules at Buckingham Palace, a princess by birth ranks above women who marry into the family, unless that woman is the queen. For Anne, this wasn't just protocol, it was a personal manifesto. The divide between the two women grew increasingly irreparable. Anne believed Camilla was unworthy of the crown, not only because of the painful romantic history, but also due to a lifestyle and behavior she deemed unfit to represent the monarchy. She once told a trusted advisor, "A crown should not be worn by hands that once broke the public's trust." Beyond personal views, Princess Anne quietly expressed her discontent by distancing herself from events hosted by Camilla. She skipped certain banquets, citing prior commitments, and avoided award ceremonies where Camilla presided. This distance was not just a sign of a frosty relationship, but a rejection of Camilla's royal role in a way Anne deemed improper. To outsiders, this rigidity might seem conservative. But for Anne, raised in the shadow of a queen like Elizabeth II, royal honor is not something to compromise. From this standpoint, she is not only a sister guarding her mother's legacy, but also the only royal daring to publicly question Camilla's legitimacy, even as Camilla is nominally queen. To understand why Queen Camilla's image remains so divisive among the British public, we must rewind to a time when she was still Camilla Shand, a young woman from a middle-class aristocratic family, without royalty or titles, and no one could have imagined she'd one day wear a crown beside King Charles III. Born in 1947, Camilla grew up in Britain's elite social circles, where tact and flexibility in relationships could open many doors. She met Prince Charles in 1970 at a polo match, a setting where high society connections were often forged through seemingly casual conversations. Their love sparked instantly. Both were drawn to each other's humor and shared interests, from literature and art to life beyond the palace. But fate soon parted them. When Charles joined the Royal Navy in 1973, Camilla, deemed unsuitable for the throne, married Andrew Parker Bowles, a cavalry officer and Princess Anne's former love. Thus their first love ended, but it never truly faded. In the years that followed, Charles and Camilla stayed in touch. Their friendship evolved into an ambiguous relationship. Even after Charles married Princess Diana, Camilla's name lingered like an indelible shadow. This marked the beginning of a tragedy, not just for Diana, but for a generation of Britons who dreamed of a princess in a fairy tale. The public does not easily forgive those who harm their beloved icons. Camilla, once a woman who loved the prince, was branded the other woman, the royal homewrecker, and in 1990s polls, she ranked among Britain's most hated figures. The press exposed phone tapes between her and Charles, dubbed Tampongate, revealing intimate exchanges that shocked and outraged the nation. To the public, Camilla was not just a mistress. She symbolized deceit, the woman who left Princess Diana in misery and loneliness for nearly a decade. When Charles announced his marriage to Camilla in 2005, opposition came not only from the public, but also from the Church of England, which had sided with Diana and disapproved of legitimizing a former mistress. To appease public sentiment, Buckingham Palace announced that Camilla would not take the title Princess of Wales despite being entitled to it after marrying Charles. Instead, she adopted the humbler title Duchess of Cornwall, a signal that even the royal family recognized her reputation wasn't ready to stand alongside Diana's. It took over 15 years for Camilla to gain some acceptance, not because she won the public's hearts, but because the public grew weary of judging her. People began to see a patient, understated Camilla who quietly supported Charles, not vying for the spotlight, but standing by his side. Yet that past, with all its stains and controversies, has never been forgotten. It looms like a shadow, resurfacing whenever the title Queen Camilla is proclaimed at a formal event. And in the eyes of Princess Anne, who knows every rung of royal power, Camilla will never be a true queen. After years of being viewed with suspicion by the public, Camilla, once in the shadows of the British monarchy, embarked on a challenging journey to reshape her image. Not through bold proclamations or costly PR campaigns, Camilla chose a quieter, steadfast path. She appeared more frequently at charitable events, focusing on overlooked but impactful causes, raising awareness for osteoporosis, a disease that affected her mother, supporting victims of domestic violence, promoting education for women and children, and backing animal welfare organizations. Camilla didn't just show up at events. She read case files of victims, wrote personal letters to those in treatment, and quietly donated to women's shelters without publicizing it. These actions gradually softened some public criticism, and the media began calling her the woman of patience. Then came the pivotal moment, King Charles III's coronation. Beside him, Camilla was officially named Queen of the United Kingdom, a title unthinkable in the 1990s. From the modest Duchess of Cornwall, she ascended to the pinnacle of prestige, but also of pressure. Yet, despite this long journey to earn the title, the truth remains. Camilla has not fully won the hearts of the British people. Recent polls show her popularity lags behind other royals, particularly Kate Middleton and Princess Anne. Part of the public still believes that, despite her polished image, Camilla remains tied to historical scars, stories that Britain's collective memory isn't ready to forgive. She may be queen, on paper, in ceremonies, and in official capacity. But in the hearts of many Britons, that title remains a question mark. If Camilla represents a controversial past, Kate Middleton is the face of hope, the light in which the British public places their affection, trust, and sometimes atonement for the monarchy's past. Born into a middle-class family, raised without aristocratic or royal roots, Kate entered palace life with what some deemed insufficient, simplicity and dedication. Yet those qualities became why she was loved so naturally without effort. With her gentle smile, poised demeanor, and strong commitment to social causes, from mental health and children's support to campaigns for maternal health, Kate instantly evokes memories of Princess Diana. Like Diana, Kate doesn't just appear. She acts. She travels to remote areas, spends hours talking with mental health patients, and listens to untold stories behind the scenes. This has forged a deep empathy between her and the public, something Camilla, despite her efforts, has never fully achieved. But a light too bright sometimes casts a shadow. Camilla, many believe, was never truly pleased when William chose to marry Kate. According to backstage sources from the early years of William and Kate's marriage, Camilla opposed the relationship, deeming Kate not aristocratic enough for the royal family, the daughter of a family in business. even one that once ran a party planning service. Perhaps one of the most unforgettable moments of this tension occurred at the 2011 royal wedding, where, according to a palace witness, Camilla requested that Kate's parents, Carol and Michael Middleton, enter through the servants' area rather than the main entrance. This act was not just a display of class distinction, but a way to assert who held power in the palace. And Kate, ever composed, did not stay silent. Not with words, but with a quiet yet powerful act, refusing to curtsy to Camilla on several ceremonial occasions, a symbolic gesture in royal culture, where a curtsy is not just courtesy, but an acknowledgement of authority. Since then, the relationship between Kate and Camilla has been frosty, though cloaked in perfect civility in public. But behind Buckingham's doors, their silence speaks louder than words. Kate, the woman from Berkshire, seems to have broken the palace's old rules, not with power, but with integrity. And that, sometimes, is what threatens those who climb to the throne through back doors. Amid the unending debates about Camilla's role and position, one thing has become clear to the public, and within the royal family: Kate Middleton is the face of the future. This was most evident during the royal family's recent challenges, when both King Charles III and the Princess of Wales faced cancer diagnoses. Amid a storm of rumors and uncertainty, Kate and Charles were not just central figures in their health battles, but became symbols of resilience and connection beyond conflicts. Staff at Clarence House often witnessed Charles holding Kate's hand backstage at family meetings, or sending her handwritten letters of encouragement, a rare gesture for a British king, even with close relatives. A close source revealed, Charles sees Kate as a companion, a spiritual daughter, and the most vital part of the modern royal image. If Charles's affection for Kate is a quiet bond, Princess Anne's support is a weighty declaration. Anne, blunt, sharp, and fiercely loyal to Queen Elizabeth II's legacy, has repeatedly shown admiration for Kate, not for her background or image, but for her work ethic and quiet, enduring dedication. For Anne, it's not about where you come from, it's about how you act and whether you're worthy of the crown. In the eyes of this princess, who once rejected lofty titles for her own children to preserve simplicity, Kate is the ideal heir, the closest embodiment of Queen Elizabeth II that Britain has seen in decades. The support of both Charles and Anne, two direct heirs, two contrasting yet influential figures, may not change the public's entire view of Camilla, but it has quietly established a new order. The monarchy's future lies not in titles bestowed, but in the hearts the public entrusts. And that heart, for now, leans toward Catherine, some Princess of Wales. And so we've explored the intricate stories of the British royal family, from Princess Anne's controversial statement to the deep tensions between Anne and Camilla, Kate Middleton's pivotal role in the monarchy's power transition, and the difficult decision King Charles faces. Camilla, despite her tireless efforts to reshape her image and prove her worth, still faces persistent opposition, not easily overcome in a society tied to tradition and history. As Kate Middleton increasingly establishes herself as a new icon of the monarchy, is she the future Britain hopes for? The question remains for us to ponder. Was Princess Anne right to reveal Queen Elizabeth's intentions about Camilla? And is Kate Middleton truly the ideal successor to the British throne? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to share them in the comments below. If you enjoy content like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel to stay updated on more untold stories and secrets of the British royal family. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.